It all started during the trailer. Everything seems normal, until... From being the best RTS ever made to being the laughingstock of Warhammer games, not World of Warcraft. How did the Dawn of War Trilogy fall? Today, we are going to explore the rise and fall of the legendary Dawn of War game series. Of course, before we discuss the games, I have to explain a little bit more about the setting. Warhammer 40k is a sci-fi universe crafted by our savior and overlord Games Workshop, a British company that started all the way back in 1975. They started out producing highly detailed sick miniatures for tabletop board games, but around the 2000s started dipping their toes into the video game scene, spawning many dozens of games within a wide variety of genres. The 40k universe is set around 38,000 years into the future. Wow, who could have guessed? 2 plus 38 does make 40. And let me tell you, it sucks to be a human in this universe. The Imperium of mankind is getting railed from every direction by numerous alien species, traitors within their ranks, and a literal demonic dimension trying to mind molest all of humankind. To fight these evil, terrifying enemies, the Imperium has resorted to giga-juice some of the younglings into becoming genetically engineered testosterone-leaking superhumans to defend them from the eternal damnation. The Space Marines. In all three of the Dawn of War campaigns, you play as the Blood Ravens, a chapter of Space Marines, trying to save the Imperial Aurelian subsector from constant invasions from a plethora of threats. They have a shady and confusing past, and have a tendency to liberate relics from human planets, taking them for their own use and pleasure. They are definitely not one of those filthy traitor chapters, right? Looking at you, Sergeant Thaddeus, you sly dog. Now with the setting out of the way, we can look at the company that released the Dawn of War Trilogy, Relic, and later in the control of Sega. Relic is a long-standing game developer, producing and publicizing games like Impossible Creatures, Company of Heroes, and the Homeworld series. They specialize in the very competitive RTS, real-time strategy genre, which absolutely went nuclear and blew up to be the main video game genre back in the early 2000s. Relic was known for the creative approaches to expand the RTS game category's limits, and every release came with untold hype. With amazing voice acting, animations that were far before its time, and new mechanics with almost every game they released, they quickly rose to the top of the gaming world. Our story starts in 2004. Dawn of War 1 reaches the shelves worldwide on the 24th of September. Within a couple of months, the game skyrockets to the top of the worldwide RTS leaderboards. People call it a masterpiece, some even daring to proclaim it to be the best RTS that has ever been released. Don't forget, this was during the time that RTS was under fierce competition from dozens of gaming studios. But they were right. Over 1 million copies were sold within the first year, smashing any other RTS release out of the park. And the game would eventually reach a maximum of 4 million units sold by 2009. A success. GW and Relic rejoiced. They had successfully captured the market and made them their bitch. I will now give a speedrun explanation of the lore in the game. If you don't like spoilers, please skip to 5:15. The Blood Ravens Space Marine chapter are on their way to help out some sad little human planetary force to assist with an orc invasion on the world Tartarus. While committing the act of completely genociding the Xenos, aliens, the Blood Ravens find a shiny new relic, an evil relic, on the surface of the planet, accidentally revealing a plot of the Alpha Legion, 40k's special agent ultra sneaky Space Marines. During this, the Blood Ravens book daddy, or librarian, acts a little strange, and people start calling him a little bit of a sussy baka. Later, it is revealed that this gamer is actually a secret agent of Chaos, and wants to bumfuck the Blood Ravens force without consent. Some space elf wizards, Eldar, show up and start talking mad smack about a Chaos incursion coming to the Tartarus system. The Blood Ravens don't take this very kindly and beat the shit out of the Eldar with the bodies of the recently genocided orcs. As they are beating, the Alpha Legion shows up and taunts Angelos, the Blood Ravens' big daddy captain, into a manly bar fight at their local tavern. After enough glasses get broken and the bartender is calling the cops, the Blood Ravens librarian shows his true colors and gets his ugly face demolished by Big Daddy Angelos. Because nobody was paying attention to the leaking booze on the floor, some other dimensional demons show up and tell Angelos to fuck off. Angelos grabs his suitcase, army, and big hammer and leaves, never to return. Or does he? The playable factions in this game are Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Eldar, and Orcs. Expansions. Dawn of War 1 has 3 expansions to its name. Number 1. Winter Assault. This expansion adds the Imperial Guard to the base game. Number 2. Dark Crusade. Dark Crusade adds my favorite, Necrons and Tau forces to the game. And number 3, Soulstorm. 2 new armies are introduced. Sisters of Battle and the Dark Eldar, raising the total number of playable armies to 9. Every single one of these expansions also adds a swath of new playable missions, updates to units in the original armies, new full campaigns, and helps expand the multiplayer experience. For the time, the voice acting and animations were years ahead of everyone. People quickly fell in love with the characters, the story, and how the game felt. It was a beautiful masterpiece of everything that was good about Warhammer and RTS games. Sadly, past experience and results do not constitute good results in the future. The day is February 19th, 2009. Every RTS gamer is at the edge of their seat. Today, the new Dawn of War is going to be released. Looking back just 5 years ago, with a game like Dawn of War 1, this has to be another masterpiece. Lines at the stores, kids and gamers spending all their saved up pocket money to be able to experience this new work of art. The game starts, an amazing trailer plays, and what the fuck is this? Wasn't this meant to be an RTS game? No, it can't be. Where is my base? Where are the resources? This can't be right. In Relic's infinite knowledge and ever-expanding gaming pioneering, they had done the impossible. They had made their newest RTS into half an RTS? Even though the voice acting was still above average, the graphics and animations definitely had made a huge jump. They had somehow managed to forget to make the actual RTS. Base building, gone. Troop limits, gone. Resource management? Gone. Dawn of War 2 was different from any possible expectation. The feeling of Dawn of War 1 was fully wiped away, and a lot of old-time fans instantly hated the new experience. Where did their precious game franchise go? Now for the lore of the game. Please skip to 9:15 to not get spoiled. The Blood Ravens once again show back up to their home planet in the Aurelian system after they got their ass bumfucked for 200 years. Their chapter is on the brink of destruction.
Thank God.
And severely undermanned. They arrive home, but their favorite green orc boys have decided to turn their system into a new basketball field. The Space Marines don't really like basketball, so decide to kill the orky version of Michael Jordan. This Giga Chat is literally called Bad Zappa because he's a certified bad bitch. They chase green Michael Jordan across the system, fighting and killing his forces on 2 separate planets. Every time he hoops away, he scores another badass point. They finally catch him at the main homeworld of the Blood Ravens and proceed to tear his body limb by limb. Once again, some Eldar show up, revealed that they are planning to bring a force of space locusts, also known as Tyranids, onto the Blood Ravens' home planet that has 32 billion people to have them all eaten and then subsequently destroy the whole planet, including the locusts. The Space Marines think about it for a while and decide it's time to make some bug control spray after beating the shit out of the Eldar for thinking they could get away with this. As the Tyranids arrive and start marching on the population, the Blood Ravens inject a Walmart bug spray right into some kind of Vor tower from the Tyranids to make it decay rapidly. The Tyranids decide that the humans on this planet weren't that delicious anyway, so they started making their way somewhere else and leave the Blood Ravens alone. The playable factions in the game are Space Marines, Eldar, Orcs, and Tyranids. Expansions. Dawn of War 2 has 2 expansions, the first one being Chaos Rising. This expansion is in reality an almost fully standalone game, introducing Chaos Space Marines, updating all existing units and armies, and giving new possible endings to each campaign. The second expansion is Retribution, reintroducing the Guard from Dawn of War 1 into Dawn of War 2, just slightly cooler this time. Besides this, the expansion offers specific campaigns for every single race in Dawn of War 2. The cool thing about this expansion is that it slightly reintroduces base building into the multiplayer. So close, yet so far. I'd like to reiterate that Dawn of War 2 is the main Dawn of War game that I played during my childhood. I have spent over 700 hours in this game and still think it's an amazing piece of work. The game steered away from being just an RTS to slowly also start incorporating a MOBA hero system. Due to this, there seems to be a big divide in the community about this game. Either you are in the camp of just disliking it completely, or in the camp of simply thinking it was the best game ever made. It definitely did not live up to what its predecessor had established, but as a standalone Warhammer game, it definitely does the job. The title of the strangest RTS goes to Dawn of War 3. Heroes who can 360 no-scope people across the map, random characters completely changing the course of battles, and quick overpowered assault units are the mainstay of this game. Dawn of War 3 released back on the 27th of April 2017 as the final installment, for now, for this iconic trilogy. The landscape of RTS games has definitely shifted in these past 13 years, yet no one was prepared for the changes Dawn of War 3 brought upon the genre. It all started during the trailer. Everything seems normal, until... Dawn of War 3 seems to be heavily focused on having cool heroic commanders doing crazy movement tech and playing it like a glorified MOBA. Gone is the full tactical play, and here come the heroic Space Marine captain moments. Please skip to 12:23 to not get spoiled for this game's lore. The Eldar version of the Spear of God gets found on a planet called Acheron. The Space Marines, Eldar and Orcs, arrive at the planet to play rock, paper, scissors for it. The campaign begins on the Imperial Night World of Cyprus Ultima, which is under siege from a massive Orc army led by some gigachat named Warboss Gid Stompa. I fucking love Orc names. For reasons unknown, some Imperial Human Inquisitor, which are like sadistic space police, Holt, has ordered the Imperial Navy to blockade the planet and deny its local inhabitants any reinforcements from outside the planet. The Blood Ravens under Chapter Daddy Angelos ram through the blockade to help the hungry locals, but not before the planet's resources get looted by the Orcs. Gid Stompa uses the stolen parts and resources to build an enormous cannon, capable of 1v1ing the Eldar that had arrived way earlier. After breaking through and demolishing the Orcs, the locals, Inquisitor, and Space Marines find a big, angry space demon trapped in the ice on the North Pole. Things go batshit crazy and some cool fights happen. The locals 1v1 a force of Raid Knights, which are these big, bony, angry robots from the Eldar, to then proceed to stomp the Chaos Demon incursion together with the Space Marines. Shit goes wild once again and they accidentally blow up the entire fucking planet. Somehow, in the end of the story, the Orc Warboss, who apparently wasn't very fucking dead from 1v1ing Angelos earlier in the game, manages to yoink the spear from the Eldar. End of the story. The playable factions in the base game are Space Marines, Eldar, and the Orcs. Expansions. Sadly, Relic has made it clear that Dawn of War 3 will receive no further expansions. The intended campaign and armies have all been added to the base game, and apparently they didn't feel the need to rebalance nor evolve the campaigns, like all of its predecessors. Even though Dawn of War 3 was not well received by the Dawn of War community, it's still a good game. With amazing graphics, good voice acting and freaking cool animations. It's still a wonderful piece of art. If you enjoy Warhammer games, this one should definitely not be missing from your playlist. Sadly, due to the terrible reception of this game, it seems like the Dawn of War series may have officially been ended. RTS games have slowly been falling out of favor with the main gaming community, and the preference has shifted towards genuine story-driven FPS and full civilization tactical games. With the release of Space Marine and the soon-to-be released Warhammer 40k Darktide, Games Workshop officially ended their 40k RTS series. If you're still looking for Warhammer related RTS games, Warhammer Fantasy Total War is the series to explore. The initial love for the game was astronomical, with over 4 million sold for the first game, 2 million copies for the second game, and an unspecified amount for Dawn of War 3, the hype has officially died out. To this day, people still regularly play Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2, with over 1,000 players in both games on Steam at all times. They still hold strong and dedicated communities. Like I said before, Games Workshop has seen the shifting landscape of video games, and has decided to shift their focus onto new things. The Dawn of War series opened their eyes upon the potential success Warhammer games can have, and have opened the gateways for many more amazing IPs in gaming from our overlord Games Workshop. The recent sales sadly did not amount to their standards, but I think even the Dawn of War community would agree that Dawn of War 4 would most likely not amount to an actual success, especially for the resources that it would need to be dedicated to it. Good things come to an end, and it's important to remember masterpieces like this. The Dawn of War Trilogy single-handedly set the standard for almost every single RTS game. Even games that got released in the more recent years still get compared to the initial success of Dawn of War 1. A true statement to the influence of the Warhammer 40k franchise. Small little edit. It's been brought to my attention that a Sega representative recently did an interview where he noted to the fact that the Dawn of War is still very close to their heart, and has alluded to Dawn of War 4 possibly coming in the near future. Open for interpretation. Who knows what the future holds. And now, my verdict on the trilogy. I've always been a huge fan of Warhammer games, and Dawn of War 2 was the very first one I ever played. Younger me spent hundreds of hours playing each campaign, army, game mode, and expansion. I never fully figured out how to do something like those tactical geniuses on YouTube, but it was always a very fun experience nonetheless. I can very much suggest anyone to pick up these games and give them a go. I think people who did not grow up with Dawn of War 1 and many RTSs will find the other two games an incredibly fun experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I spent multiple weeks reminiscing about Dawn of War while writing the script, and hope that I could bring back some of that nostalgia to the old players. Also, if you haven't played these kind of games yet, I hope that I have inspired you to at least give them a good look. They are definitely worth your time. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!